Good evening. I wanted to spend a few minutes going over some information with you on reflective practice. If you look at the two terms that make up reflective practice and their definitions, you can see that reflective means that it's characterized by deep, careful thought, and a practitioner um, is somebody who practices in a particular profession. So a reflective practitioner in education is a teacher who uses deep, careful thought to improve instruction. So our readings for this week deal with being a reflective practitioner. When you think about reflective practice, you can also think about the idea of conscientious craft or conscious craft. And these are educators who reflect for action, in action, and on action. So for action reflection suggests that you're proactive about your teaching. You're thinking about the planning aspect and setting up your instruction. The inaction suggests that you have the ability to reflect while you are teaching, and the on action suggests that you're able to analyze your successes and failures of your actions in the classroom. So we're going to look at today what this means for you as a pre-professional. As a pre-professional who engages in for action, this is when you are thinking about your planning and your instruction based on data that is available. So your knowledge of standards, your developmental needs of your students, assessment data that you can request from your teacher. This is thinking about what your cooperating teacher does in the classroom, what you know in regards to setting up lesson plans, your management system, your educational philosophy, differentiation and meeting the individual needs of your students, and how your educational research that you're reading in class can be applied in the classroom. So this is all involved in planning your instruction prior to implementing a lesson in your class. Inaction is something that is very difficult for beginning teachers to do because this is analyzing while you are delivering instruction and adjusting your instruction based on this analysis. And so in regards to ELA instruction, this could be checking comprehension through guided questions and practice, and then making adjustments in your lesson plan on the spur of the moment right then and there. Adjusting the pace of your lesson, adjusting your class schedule if you're able to do that, and then reteaching a previously taught lesson. So if you recognize that your students are struggling, and going back and being able to reteach on the spur of the moment. This is all inaction. And this is difficult for beginning teachers because a lot of times as you're teaching a lesson, you think it all goes over very well, and you do not think that you need to make any adjustments until you look at the assessment data that you get from class. Or if you recognize that things are not going well, you're not quite sure how to fix it, so you forge ahead with the lesson plan that you have in front of you and hopes that things get better in the lesson as you go on. And then finally, on action involves reflecting on how well the instruction went. And so you're going to be doing on action reflections in here when you do your reflective essay at the end of the semester. So did the students enjoy the lesson? Were they on task and engaged? Did they meet the intended outcomes? Thinking about how you were in regards to pacing and delivery. And you'll also get some of this information from your TIAI that your mentor teachers also do with you and evaluate you through this on action reflection. You can also think about what you need to do to improve. It can be thinking about your cooperating teacher or university supervisor's comments, altering or modifying a lesson before the next class or for future reference, which you will be thinking about that idea of how would you modify or alter this lesson in your reflective essay if you were to teach it again. But then also, if you have the opportunity to teach the ELA lessons more than once, let's say your teacher teaches ELA twice during the day and wants you to teach both classes, so you're not having two different lessons going on for the students in for the ELA class for that particular day. If things don't go well the first lesson with the first class, and you need to make adjustments, this would be on action reflection. Altering your behavior plan, so thinking about management and if you need to change some of that classroom management from lesson to lesson. And then looking at the literature or research for new or alternative strategies. So in your reflective essay for this class that you'll be doing later on in the semester, you will be talking about how you would modify the lesson if you were to teach it again. And so you can refer to literature to suggest ways that you could adjust your lesson in the future. So the idea also behind reflective practice is that you are a lifelong learner and reflecting on everything you do. In the teaching profession, you're continually learning new things. Every semester, I reflect on this course. I go back, I look at the assignments, I look at the objectives, I look at what I had planned for classroom practice, and I think about what needs to be modified and adjusted. And I get together with my colleagues that also teach this class. So I typically teach the face-to-face class. I get together with my colleague that teaches the online class, and we have a conversation about what we need to do to adjust the class based off of our course evaluations from that previous semester, and suggestions we had from students, and thinking about how assignments went over and how our instruction went over for that particular semester. So we're continually reflecting on the course. And that's what you're going to need to do in the field as well. Teachers need to be lifelong learners. And so some of your other readings for this week involve professional organizations, becoming involved in the International Literacy Association, the National Council for the Teachers of English, the National Council for the Teachers of Math, the National Science Teachers Association, the National Council for the Social Studies, AMLE, which is the Association of Middle Level Education, NACE, which is the National Association of Young Children, are all important organizations to be involved in, because you will receive information from them that allows you to stay current in best practice, and through journal articles, through going to conferences, and allows you to become a lifelong learner. So one of the things that you are going to complete today is a discussion board posting on when a lesson goes wrong. And this is a lesson from Teaching Channel. It is a high school English lesson. It's a 9th to 10th grade English lesson. However, the lesson itself is very applicable to any grade level, and how Miss Wessing goes through her modifications of her lesson plans, and thinking about how things are not working the first go round, and makes changes to her lesson. So these are the 3 questions that you're going to need to answer in your discussion board post for this particular discussion board on when a lesson goes wrong.